Oh yeah, it goes down Saturday, UFC 298 in Anaheim. That is Mackenzie Dern, the featured preliminary fight against Amanda Lemos. And Mackenzie, short turnaround for you this time, a very big fight. Talk to me about the mindset of heading into this one.
I mean, I'm gonna say like the biggest not like doubt, but the only thing that was kind of keeping me like, man, a little bit, I'm gonna say like nervous was just like, man, I've never had two losses in a row, So for me, I've kind of been like, I've been there and stuff like that, and I just got TKO in New York, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like so soon. And Amanda Lemos, she has that, that knockout power, it's a similar style. So that was the only kind of thing, just like, man, kind of what are people going to think, sponsors and this and that, and you kind of start thinking about the outside, the outside stuff and that kind of pressure. And then it was just like, you know what, it's like here in Anaheim, 10 minutes from my house. Who normally we have to, like, we get a loss and we have to wait a whole bunch of months before we can actually try and get that, erase that from our, from our minds and stuff. So I'm like, man, I have like less than 3 months basically to, try and pull this off, to correct the mistakes. It's against a person that's very similar as Jessica, kind of just knockout power. Of course, Amanda has a lot like submissions and things like that, but it's actually a fight that makes sense. We both lost to Jessica. She was submitted. I was TKO, so it does make sense. And she just fought for the belt. So it really kind of keeps me, in there, no matter what. And, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to do my best to be a good, to be a good athlete for the UFC too. They called me like,
Sure.
hey, Tatiana came out. So it's like, yeah, I'm here, and I think it's just a perfect opportunity for me, So really the only type of thing that was like, oh, what if I lose again? And it's like, man, I really don't care how I look. I only have 4 weeks. It's not like technique. It's not, I'm not 4 weeks fixing this and that. And you know what I mean? It's just like, I had 4 weeks to get my physical, my strength training. I was like, I just want to make sure I don't, die on the gas tank out there. I'm going out there basically like kill or be killed, and get this win.
I love that attitude. It should make for a very exciting fight. Look, you're a public figure. Anything you do is going to get criticized. After that loss to Jessica, did any of that get to you? Do you listen to it? Are you able to just turn it all off?
I mean, like, I guess the fans and I don't know, like the social critics, that doesn't bother me too much. But like as soon as I got home from in New York on Sunday, I went and watched the fight, and my family like, no, no, just take a little bit, I was like, no, 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 I want to watch the fight, I want to see where I messed up. And then when I heard like, the commentating like Joe Rogan and DC and stuff, that for me, that was like I felt embarrassed. I felt bad. I was like, dang, like, how did I have like just saw Angela Hill in May with like the best performance, and now they're saying like, I look like a freaking high school girl, brawling and stuff like that. And I'm like, and for me, I felt like, man, like they're kind of critics that they can influence a lot of people, with what they say, commentating stuff like that. So I'm like, man, I can't believe they said that about me. I look like that, but then I started remembering, well, the same way they said good stuff about me, they've said bad, it goes back and forth, that's their job, and they're going to commentate no matter what. And I still love them and everything like that. So it wasn't too bad. It's just that first moment when I watched the fight, I was crying. I'm
Sure.
like, this is so embarrassing. Oh
Well,
my
it's
gosh.
the fight sports are always the hardest because you don't have a schedule of 35 games a year, 100 games a year. You're fighting 2 to 3 times. You're only as good in people's eyes as your last fight, whether that's fair or unfair. A lot of times it is unfair. Do you think any of the criticism, though, of your losses has been fair?
Yes, for sure. No, definitely. I mean, I think that's even kind of like why I think I've kind of been on a, I don't know, like on a roll of like win, loss, because I feel like we're kind of all so top level, and I feel like I'm there, and I feel like it just gets down to like who makes the less mistakes and who
Yeah.
capitalizes first on the other person's mistake. It's not that these girls are like, way out, more technical. Granted, like my last fight, Jessica, like I got clipped. I've never been clipped before like that. I got clipped by Yan Shonan, but I didn't fall down, So just for me, like trying to recover, and I was basically like on autopilot there, you know what I mean? So it's like for me, it was a fair loss, It's like, I mean, she capitalized on my mistake. She landed some shots that I didn't see coming, you know what I mean? So as me, I'm trying to get down to the ground, and I'm trying to work on different strategies, and I'm trying to evolve as a fighter at the same time. You get in this like, okay, do I just do whatever I need to do to win? Do I try and evolve? Is the fight the time to be evolving, or is the time to be evolving in the gym? And you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's just a mix of finding your ground and figuring out who you are as a fighter, and
Sure.
in front of millions of people at the same time.
I give you guys the utmost credit and respect in the world, because if you make a mistake, it's in front of so many people. It gets so scrutinized. But as a fighter, you've got to be able to put it behind you and come back, which is obviously what you've done here on short notice. So, look, you had a recent situation with your gym closing where that had to throw a lot of chaos. How did that affect you as a fighter in terms of your focus, preparation, everything that goes with that?
I mean, the gym, the Ruka gym, it actually, that was like almost, that was like the least of the problems, because they actually closed when I had kind of stopped to train with Perillo for a little bit. Just because of my own personal things, it wasn't even anything with the gym or the team. It was just of everything I was going through on a personal level. My life was so like just figure out who I want by my side, who's real, who's not, what I need, where I need to be, what I need to do to be able to dedicate myself to my job, which is fighting, you know what I mean? And of course, we can be there and fighting, even not like when we're 70%, 80% or something like that. But, I want a long-term, I want to win the belt. I want to accomplish a lot of things. I want to be a legend. I want to go into the Hall of Fame. So it's like, okay, I can do that for 1-2 fights, but I can't be on a roll like that. So I kind of just need to take a step back. And then when I took that step back, that's when the gym ended up closing, everything like that. But Pat Tenor, he opened up a new gym and everything like that. So they have their whole place. And I think I actually got to train a little bit with Perillo leading up to this fight. It was short notice that he won't be in my corner. I was like, okay, let me just get this out of the way. I still had help from my other coaches and things like that. But it was good to finally be like, okay, coach, I'm ready. I'm back. We can, are we good to go? Let's get that. Cause I mean, in the MMA, it's like you build this trust level too with your coaches and with the people around you, and you really need to, even though I'm so grateful for the people who have been through my lives and have been part of my journey. I don't want to be, once I trust in someone, it's hard for me to trust other people, you know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like really comfortable with the work. And for me, on a personal level, I think my mistakes I made in my fight against Jessica, or even all my losses, I feel the biggest thing was my own emotion in the fight. I get excited, I land some shots, and then instead of maybe, okay, now I can go for the takedown, I want to throw a couple more. And then that's when I kind of get into an unnecessary or a brawl that it's not necessary.
Sure.
And so something that Perillo really does is sparring. It's like sparring almost every single day, and that's what I feel like really you need, is to be able to get that timing of, okay, now it's a good time to switch the striking to the grappling, and that's what I think when the most people, oh, she gets better her wrestling, she gets better at this, her striking, this and that. And it's like, man, my striking is good. I've trained wrestling these whole 4 weeks. I trained more in these 4 weeks than I did in the 2 months for my last fight, my grappling is good. My strength and training, it's my conditioning is good. But I could train everything. And if the emotion's not there, the mindset, that vision to see the right moment to go for the things, that's what's hard, So that's really just experience and doing it and sparring and being in the moment.
Absolutely. I've seen your father, Megan in your corner, the jiu-jitsu legend. What advantage did that give you? Like, well, how can you identify that growing up? Did you always feel like this was the inevitable path for you? Was it just always there in the back of your mind?
MMA, no, my dad was against it. I had never thought about doing MMA. I was like, I had a good life in jiu-jitsu. I was like at the top. I had just accomplished all my goals, everything. I was like, seminars and traveling around the world and camps and sponsors. And I was like, I was living the life of a jiu-jitsu in the jiu-jitsu world, So it was really, for me, when I started actually training with MMA team just to help my jiu-jitsu training, and all of them, it was right when Ronda Rousey was, winning all these, winning everything by armbar. And I'm like, man, I do arm bars a lot too, And then all the guys like, man, you should do it. You should go to MMA. No one has your jiu-jitsu. And I'm telling my dad, he's like, no, my daughter, don't do it. You should be a model. Don't get punched in the face. That. And now I understand, me having a daughter, I understand what he means. You don't want to see your kid getting hit in the face. You always see them as a baby when they're adults. But Yeah, and even actually it took about 6 fights for him to be in my corner in MMA. Mix of two things. One, because he was my coach my whole life, so as like I decided to do this kind of new adventure journey into MMA. I kind of wanted the time as father and daughter a little bit, because everything we
Sure.
do, I mean, we have a great relationship, father, daughter, best friends, but coach, but I kind of wanted him just like as my supporter. And they started bringing these things, like the weight cut and things like that. And I was like, man, I don't know, like sometimes you need someone that is like emotionally disconnected, so they can like make you put in the sound a little bit more, or my dad's gonna be like extra hard, or he's gonna be like, no, my daughter, come here, no, don't do it, so I was like, Dad, I want this, I just want a little bit of time, like for me to enjoy you and me and you as like, father and daughter for a little bit. And I've heard a lot of stories of coaches and they coaches with the kids and they get in fights and family members and stuff like that. So I was trying to like, take care of preserve our relationship, But after a few fights, I was like, man, there's no, once I started really getting to it, I'm like, man, I'm going into battle. There's the one I'd rather go into battle with than having like someone who I really trust, who I know will be there no matter what, who knows me, emotionally, physically knows me, he's the one who raised me. So I was like, yeah, Dad, I need you in my corner. So that ever since then, it's been like, it's just totally different. It's like one thing when you go into battle and you know that your father's there with you.
Sure, sure. Well, look, one thing the critics can never say about you is your willingness to fight. You've got a great chin. You get back up when you get knocked down. You're willing to push a big pace. Where does that inner toughness come from, you thinking you?
I mean, I think it comes from the heart, the heart, when I'm kind of saying like when emotion, it comes just from kind of that fight or flight, they say fight or flight. I think I've always my best way of always attacking defense has always been attacking. So it's just never, I don't know. I'm just always going forward, always going forward. Even when people say like, calm down, I'm like, okay, calm down for like 10 seconds and then I'm back in again. And that's me trying to pull the reins on it. I think all the champions, they have that control of their emotions, the good and the bad. I think people have seen my fights. I'm trying to get the takedown. Like I've even like pulled guard, I've done like everything I can to try and get the win. I've pulled guard, I've like done somersaults, I've like, I've done like, omoplatas and all these things, and I'm fighting, I'm brawling strikers and stuff like that. So it's definitely and then like even when I'm trying to take down, people will see like maybe I'm not getting the takedown and like Peril or something, he'd be in my corner and like he could see the frustration. So anyway, like, okay, we're doing good. Let's, calm, relax, and so it can be the good and the bad, frustration. And even when I land the punches, still going forward, So I think I just have that killer instinct in me. I think training my whole life with guys, I'm growing up with my dad, training me, I never learned to like, let it be. I've always, my dad's always like, oh, a white belt, a newbie has come into the gym. My dad like, I want you to get him in 30 seconds, 3 minutes, all you have to try and submit it. And I'm like 16 years old. I'm like, okay, and I'm going after like this guy that just came in the gym, and I'm trying to like submit him the best way I can. Obviously, I have woman strength, it's not the same as a guy. But growing up with that, that I can go my 100% and it's okay against the guys. They don't care, because I'm trying my best and they're gonna do
Sure.
their best, to defend or whatever, So just he's training me my whole life to go at it.
Well, I appreciate your candid responses here as we head into Saturday's UFC 298 pay-per-view. Anaheim, final question against Amanda Lemos. Is this a must-win for you, Mackenzie, Saturday night?
Yes, it is a must win for sure. On a personal level, it's a must win. I'm going in this to win for sure, 100%.
We wish you the best. Can't wait to see the fight. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks so much.